Okay, hi. I think I'm making a horrible decision, but that's fine. We're gonna do this. Hello, I'm Sophie. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to what might not even get put on YouTube. If I find that I am biting off more than I can chew. Today, today I want to outline my sci-fi trilogy. Project Star. Haven't heard about her in a while. If you're new here, you probably don't even know what Project Star is. It is in the Project What universe, who's surprised? Everything is. And it is a sort of alternate outcome to the end of the nuclear war that Project What went through. There were people that got stuck on Earth, and then they ended up moving onto the island that Project What takes place on. And in this other reality, a spaceship, a space city, is put into orbit, and a few, I won't say a few, like maybe 20,000 people are able to get on this space city and leave Earth and start a whole new chapter for humanity in the stars. And that's what Project Star is about. Project Star is about the upteenth generation on this spaceship and what they're dealing with. Completely different than what they're dealing with in Project What, but it is like a branch off of like what could have been at the end of the war, which I think is really fun, I'm not gonna lie. And you might be wondering, girl, why are you not doing this with Project What? Why didn't you outline the entire series? Why are you going book by book? And that is because Project What was never supposed to be a trilogy. When I first started writing it, that was not my first idea, was, oh, I want it to be 3 books. It was after I had written the first book, probably the second time, maybe after the first time, that I realized that this could be 3 books and that I had more story to tell. So I had Project What very much in development by the time that I realized I wanted to make a trilogy, so we're going step by step with that one. In this case, though, with Project Star, I don't have much that I'm going off of. I have a zero draft that I wrote 3 years ago, I think. That is the essence that I want to capture in this trilogy, and that's kind of it. So, I'm very excited today to see what we can do together. And see how far I can get in this trilogy. Because if I could have the entire trilogy roughly outlined, I don't want to do a super in-depth outline, I want to just get a basic arc for the entire trilogy. That would be so cool. That would be so cool. And I'm not even writing it yet. I can't even write it yet. I am still writing Project Glass. When you see this, if you see this, we're very much still doing the whole Camp Nano thing, and Camp Nano is Project Glass. I'm hoping I can finish Project Glass by the end of April, so I can work on this. But we will just have to wait and see how that actually goes. Right now, I've got the sci-fi bug. I cannot get rid of it. I've been thinking about Project Star for like 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, it'll just go away. Let me just work on Project Glass, and I'll forget about it, and it'll be okay. It's not gone away. It's not gone away, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. This specifically is my original outline for the zero draft. It's very short. It's very short. It was very much a Plantser sort of deal. I had this outline. I had like the 20 cards that I wrote, and then as I went chapter by chapter, I would add more detail, and I would probably tweak things given how the characters manipulated the previous scenes. This is what I'm going off of, and my vague memory of Zero Draft, because once again, I haven't read that in a while either, and I kinda didn't want to, because I know it's not a good draft, and I know the story. I know the story in my head. I feel like if I'm not confined by what I want to keep from the Zero Draft, I can make a much better story. So we're gonna do that. I have this. I have this outline, and I also have my. It's in my world building Google Slides slideshow. I don't know if you guys know about that video, my like world building template thing. I used it for this project. Not a ton, it's not super in-depth. I do have a lot of things filled out, but it's not super crazy. But this is the foundation, this is the bones. Thank God for me putting this all in one slideshow and not putting it in like 4 notebooks. Pass me the real one for that. This is what we're going off of. I'm going to make a list of the many things that I want to go down in this trilogy, and then maybe we can start figuring out what order I want them to be in. Yeah, we're really starting from scratch. Let's see how this goes. I'm back. This is my mic, okay? I have a basic idea of of what's going on here. This is book 1, this is book 2, and then book 3. You can see I've had varying degrees of success in detail, which have diminished over time. That's only natural. I didn't even have a great idea of what I was doing with book 1, I'm not gonna lie. And I actually did have to, I did have to pull out the zero draft for this book. A little thicker than I thought it was. That's fine. That's cool with me. 97 pages, not bad. This is my basic idea. I don't even know if I like how I ended the final book, especially if it's connecting to Project What. I don't think it works. There definitely has to be a more final way to bring down the villain. The antagonist. Sorry, villain seems so like elementary. This book 3, the end part, these like last 3 notes, I feel like I'm gonna change them, but we have a basic idea. There it is. There's the trilogy in essence. I do quite enjoy how book 1 and book 2 go. I think those are good. I think the way I ended book 2 was nice, and it leads into a good book 3, but I do need to fix the ending. I put an ending up there because I wanted a basic idea. Sorry, I'm not even in frame. I wanted to put a basic idea down. I wanted something down so I could actually say that I'd finished outlining the trilogy, but I think I'm gonna change that. So yeah, on to round 2. So I just realized, these are the only big sticky notes I have, these yellow ones. So we are moving on to the notepads that I bought on a whim. I have a ton more than this, but these were the 2 most readily available. They're very cute, and they will pair aesthetically so well with the tone of this story. Here is what 1 looks like. Oh my god, please focus on it. Don't focus on me. I'm not the important part here. So there's 1, and then this one has another note in it, like that. Very cute, and then this one's got like dogs or something on it. I don't even know. Bears? I think they're dogs. Super cute. And then here is that second one. Very cute stuff. I think this matches the content that will be written on them in due time. I do want to flesh out the plot, the one that's on the door, but I also need to figure out the antagonist motivation, which I think I did. I think I did while I was writing those base notes. So I'm gonna put that on one of these little food notes, and I think it'll work. Yeah, it should. We should be good. I'm thinking about it, and I think it works. Anyways, I'm just gonna write it down. This is a very rough outline. This is the rough idea that we will be refining as time goes on. So I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write it down and trust. Just those 4 notes. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each book. I'm trying to do like a big picture thing right now and flesh out the trilogy as a whole, and I don't work very well like that. I don't know why I'm trying to do it like that. So I'm going to pick through each book and hopefully build off of the stuff before it, so I have a better idea of what I am working with in the 2nd and 3rd book. So that's gonna be the plan. And I know book 1 the most because I've written it, so hopefully that one will go pretty well. Okay, guys. Book one is pretty complete, I believe. There's some stuff like in this area that I need to do like a scene by scene sort of thing. Otherwise, that's book one. That's it. And it looks so bare in the other two columns because that's the only one with detail, but it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's not super detailed, but gives me a much better idea of what's happening. So, let's see what I can do with book two. I have no idea how far I'm gonna get in book two. Okay, it's day two. I know I look crazy because my hair's all locked up in bunches. Don't worry about that. We're gonna keep going. Right now, I want to tackle book two because I have no idea what's gonna happen in book two. The fun and games, which I am zooming in on right now. Right there. The fun and games. What's going on there? I have no clue. We're gonna figure it out, hopefully. Yay. Hi. We're back. My hair still looks dumb. We're gonna ignore it, okay? It's not a thing. Book two? Book two is pretty much done. You can see it. It's very filled in now. It's filled in now, and I know better what's happening, which is great. I almost completely redid this book and the basic outline that I had in yellow because the motivation I had and the goal I had for the main characters was not good. It was kind of boring and flat, so I changed it. And also that goal didn't make sense anymore because in book two my original thought was that it was space wars. They were going to fight this enemy alien civilization, but the world building that I've given them, these people, would make it not feasible for them to travel long distances and fight people, because where my main characters end up is very far away from these guys' home star system. It would just not be feasible for them to drag a bunch of people over there and risk losing them. Though they probably won't because they're a very powerful civilization. But still, not worth the risk, especially when they have other people that will do that bidding for them. Originally, it was supposed to be space war. Now, given their characterization, space war doesn't make sense. So, I changed it. It's very much more behind the scenes war, psychological war. I don't know. It's definitely not a giant violent war. It's silent, and it's taking power a lot more quieter than a war would be. So I completely changed that. And also, we're just continuing the very end of book one. I'm actually not going to give spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to do it. At the very end of the book, big changes happen, big discovery happens, and this book two is them using the discovery for themselves. Yeah, I'll say that. Down here, with these last two cards, I didn't realize that this card was going to be the midpoint. That's the midpoint, and this is the ending of the book. So I had to patch that up. I didn't think it was going to be the midpoint. I probably had an idea. I thought maybe it would be closer to Bad Guys Close In, but midpoint makes more sense because it gives me more time to put in one of my favorite scenes from the original Zero Draft into this book, because it didn't make sense in book one anymore, and I still wanted to use the scene. So it's in book two now. And a lot of world building went down while I was trying to figure out book two. That's how I usually end up outlining stuff like this, especially stuff where it's like my own universe, my own world, and I have all these different aspects that I need to figure out. It's very much I learn a new plot point that I want to add, and then I have to world build for that plot point in order to figure out what would happen next in the story. So it was very much back and forth between outlining book two and figuring out these guys, the ships that they fly, that's up here, and some other settings that come up in this book. But I think it turned out well, and I think I've covered any like plot holes or like easy ways out of the story, like, oh, why don't they just give the aliens this thing? It would get them off their backs. or why don't they just run away or something. I think I patched them all because that's the first thing I think of. I'm very critical, very critical of my own stories, and while I'm outlining, I'm trying to imagine someone on YouTube doing a book review, and like one of those really in-depth book reviews that's like an hour and a half long. I think of someone like that, and I try to think of like things they could say about my book if it was one of those like comically bad books and they had like the biggest plot holes in history, and it's like, oh, why didn't they just like leave, like the door was unlocked, why didn't they just leave when they could or something. But that runs in my head this entire time. That's running in my head, so it did help patch up some issues and gave me some more world building on these guys. Not bad, but it is time to do book 3. I'm scared. I basically know nothing about the plot of this book. This is the beginning. This is a basic idea of what I want to happen in the story, and then this is all towards the end. This is probably like midpoint onwards, because I figured out the ending. I know what I want the ending to be. I know how to end the series, technically. I don't know how to write the book, though. So, it's been like an hour, and book 3, not looking too bad. It's definitely not finished, I'm aware. Both of these, probably all 3, not gonna lie, are like maybe a little more than a skeleton outline. Like the yellow sticky notes by themselves were straight up bones. That was basically nothing. I would say we've got the vital organs. I would say we have a functioning organism. It just doesn't have much pizzazz yet. I would say maybe it's very pre-Cambrian explosion. I don't know if that probably doesn't make sense. I think there is a lot of detail that I need to add to this outline, to this story, but I also think that those details are something that I will not have until I actually start writing it. I'm satisfied with the ending. I had like a good appreciation for how I ended it. I don't know how to say that. You know, like when you finish a good book and you're like, you just sit back and you're like, yeah, I liked that. That was good. That's how I feel about this right now. I think it's okay. That's always good. I have a trilogy. I have a trilogy right now. One thing I didn't do is character arcs. I don't have much of a character evolution here. One of my main characters, she is the daughter of the captain of the spaceship that they live on. And I do have her evolving into someone who has more power, because at the beginning she's very much relying on her parents and what they're telling her to do, and she's following orders. She's like, this is for the greater good, I will do what they say. And as time goes on, and as she has to be a captain in her own sense and kind of fill an authoritative role, she learns how to make her own decisions, I guess. Ones that like she doesn't think her parents would approve of or something. They're just something for the greater good. It's like, I'm not doing this because my parents told me it was for the greater good. I'm doing this because I think it's for the greater good. She's still fighting for similar things that her parents are fighting for. That's just her life. That's her opinion. That's how she feels. She wants to protect these people. But now she's doing it more for herself than for her parents' approval, I guess. Yeah. So I do have that arc. I don't have any for my second main character. I think just maybe he becomes more grounded himself. Obviously, this is something that will happen in the book. I guess I shouldn't say obviously, but when I write is usually when I learn more about the characters. And one of those things is the character's arc, their evolution throughout the story or the series or anything. So what I know right now, just basically, is that my other main character, he not grows a backbone, but he learns to like settle down. He learns to take responsibility, because at the beginning here, literally the first scene in the book of book 1, he's like an idiot. He just messes around. He does what he wants because why not? Like YOLO. I don't know. Life's too short to follow too many rules. So he's doing what he wants. Learns throughout the book that there are responsibilities and there are things that we can do as individuals to, make life a little better for not only yourself, but for everyone around you. That's great. He learns the answers to his, lifelong question. And in book 2, begins to embrace the answer to that question. Again, sort of reality sinks in for him. Maybe that kind of sounds mean, but he's no longer a YOLO kind of guy. He's much more sentimental. He's much more well-meaning in his actions, and he actually thinks about his actions, and he doesn't just do something for the thrill of it. He's doing it for a reason. And then here we really see him doing things for a reason. I think I pulled the whole double self-sacrifice thing at the end for the 2 main characters, which I've been wanting to do in a book forever. So really putting meaning behind his actions towards the end of the book. But that's the 2 character evolutions I have. All the stories are very streamlined. I don't have a ton of subplots or other things that are happening in the book. It's very much, we have one mission, and that's what we're doing. Once again, that is something that will come up while I'm writing the books. That's what happened with Project What. That's what happened with Project Glass, I'm pretty sure. They have 1, 2 goals at the beginning of each of these books. And it sounds just kind of boring right now. Hopefully, by the time I get to that part of each book, they have other things to do as well. But right now, it's not looking too bad. I think it looks really fun on my door. It's a little chaotic, but she's silly. And I'm excited to see how much of it falls off before I take it down and recreate it in a way that doesn't look like this. But that is it from me right now. I'll probably be back tomorrow when there's better lighting and my hair doesn't look stupid and talk about this a little more. But tonight, I'm done. The trilogy outline is done. And hopefully later this year, hopefully in a month, we can say hello to her again. Okay, it is the next day. Hello. We got a little bit of sunlight and I've got an absurd amount of stars on my face. I'm gonna take this one off. I look a little crazy. Anyways, it's the next day. Everything is still up, which is impressive. I thought something would have fallen off last night. We're looking good still. I've realized after I do a big session of outlining like this, outlining a book in more depth, I guess, as well, but after a long period of outlining, I will see the whole world as outlining. As in, I will tell myself that I need to do something, after work or something, or after I wake up. And then my brain, I don't answer these questions, okay? But my brain goes to okay, but why do we have to do that? What's my motivation? What's my character's motivation? As in me, I'm the character. What's the motivation? What's the greater effect on the story for this? And I'm I just need to get gas. This is not a plot point. This is not a plot point in my life. I'm just getting gas. I realized that today. And I was dang, I think I spent too much time outlining last night. But, she's done. She's done. And she is so cute. I kind of wanted to talk about what every color on here means somewhat, because I outline a lot. And I outline in a lot of different ways. Whatever works is going to work for me. I am a big fan of sticky notes. I've always been a big fan of sticky notes. There's a video from forever ago about me trying to outline my fantasy series, Project Quest. If any of you guys know about that. I use sticky notes for that too. It's just so nice to be able to see all of it up against a wall or something, instead of just on a table. Any medium that lets you move it around easily is good for me. Sticky notes or index cards, which is why I use index cards most of the time, because those you don't have to pry apart every time you want to see it. I digress. I like things that can move around, and I like things that are colorful. Let's get into it. First and foremost, the yellow is just base plot points. Coincidentally enough, yellow is also the cards I use in my index card outlines to do the 15 beats, or at least to sort of stay on that track almost. But those are the big points. Those are the big points that keep us in the story. They're also yellow. Thought that was weird. I didn't choose yellow. Those were the only sticky notes that I had that were this big. So they were also yellow. That's what that is here. Those are big plot points. In this case, it wasn't the 15 beats, but it was just the big ideas that I had. The scenes I wanted to hit that we had to worm our way into. That's what yellow is. These ones, these little orange ones, they're basically the same color as the yellow ones, I'm pretty sure, but they're orange technically. Those ones are just like context and little notes. They're not plot points. They're just like almost emotional notes that we have to hit. Like this one says, we have to fear the enemy. Like, they gotta be kind of mean. They gotta be ruthless. We gotta show that. This one was a name I got wrong for a species, because I'm so smart. And then these are like context for what happens at the end of book 2 that we see in book 3, because here it kind of ends a little abruptly. So those were just like standby notes. Things I wanted to remember just in case future me was too stupid to remember. Pink ones. These ones are the main characters. These are notes I had specifically about the main characters' relationship with each other, and also the main characters themselves, that I wanted to emphasize and make sure I had. So most of it's like their relationship arc. It's very slow burn. It's a very slow burn kind of romance, but it is a romance, and it is happening. It just takes forever to happen, and I wanted to sort of map out where those things happen. Up here, I didn't actually map it out. I just said in this book they need to end up getting together. That's what pink is. My two main characters. How cute. And then the green. The green is them and the enemy. Them and these guys. Or it's context for these guys, but green is these guys. Any note I had about them was green. Or other world building notes. This is about a piece of technology that they learn about in book 1. This is where a ship that they're looking for ends up being, because they don't know where it is until halfway through the book, but I need to know where it is so I know where to lead them. So that's where it is. Everything else is about them, I'm pretty sure. There's just those two that are like random world building that I just needed a place to put them, and green worked. And now all the white-ish papers with the silly decals. Those ones are just more scenes and more context. Most of them, I would say, aren't scenes, though. A lot of it is context, is how the characters are feeling. It is the effect of certain actions. In this stage, I don't have a lot of scenes. I have a lot of cause and effect. It's very much like, they want to do this. This is what happens. Now we are moving on. And there's no real actual steps to that. It's just, this is the vibe. This is what is going to happen. You're going to have to figure out how. But yeah, not a ton of actual scenes in this outline. It's literally like maybe a storyboard of an outline. Like, I'm really just trying to capture the essence of the story, the emotions I want to hit, the stuff I want to talk about, but it's not a huge step-by-step, this is what's going to have to happen sort of deal. But that being said, there is an order to this. This is the start of book 1, this is the end of book 1, and this is in order of how I want things to happen. This is book 2, this is book 3, but they're not necessarily like scene cards. Does that make sense? I have no idea. And I'm sorry if it doesn't, but this is how I think. It's tough out here, okay? Oh, and also, this guy that I'm pointing to, this one up here, I don't even know if you can see that. And there's one more down here. Those are just world building drawings that I did because one, I think better when I draw, and two, I wanted to draw them. Those are also there, not necessary in the outline, but like I said, I'm very back and forth between outlining and world building, especially in something where I'm discovering a lot of it right now. The drawings also helped with that step. But yeah, that is it. That is the outline. I will be back with Project Glass content, and then hopefully we will see her again. This gorgeous thing. I'll probably have it digitalized by then, because if this stays up through spring and into summer, all of these sticky notes are going to melt off my door. So, I will see you guys with Project Star someday in the future. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. How are your projects going? How is camp prep going? Hopefully good. Hopefully you're ready to take on April with a vengeance. I'm certainly ready to do something, apparently. But let me know everything in the comments, and hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Wow.